ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 4 of the Stuck in the Middle podcast.
In the middle, bitches.
Which apparently, from Tom's computer, we are now on 5, but we're still on 4 because, morbid jokes. So, in the news this week, party boy Boris is at it again. Apparently, a birthday party was not suitable. The stock market's taking a bit of a hit, which is always fun. Is the dollar fucked? Bitcoin is screwed, which I'm quite happy to see because I think it's a pyramid scheme.
Yep.
Podcasts seem to be a very popular market, which was news to me, which, it's good fun.
Infomercial here.
Exactly. And on a happier note, Meatloaf died.
I was quite sad about that.
I'm joking. You know who was really happy about Meatloaf dying?
Jim Steinman.
Vegetarians.
No
Sorry,
longer,
that was such a cheap joke. You know what? The best thing about, though, when he died, right? I was looking at the media. I sent you a link to what they put up straight away. It was like an article, and it was full on rinsing the guy. He wasn't even cold yet, and people were making fun of Meatloaf.
That's poor, actually.
It was just I don't know.
He wasn't even cold yet.
He's such a cultural joke that it was just like, even if he's dead, there's no respect. And then
I've been seeing amongst my friends a lot of appreciation posts for Meatloaf.
Have you? Well, they are musicians, to be
exactly.
fair. And
yes,
so
yes.
You guys don't just hear a
it's
funny name.
It's almost like him and Jim Steinman. Their stuff meant a lot to everyone.
And people's cholesterol, because Meatloaf. And then also, the gym sucks. I have a Fitbit. I'm now one of them. I hate myself. I blame you entirely.
Well, we're only human. We should mention to the viewers that we did, in fact, have a day today, didn't we, where we were going to go to the gym. But we totally tanked it, and
yes. Well, I think I'm always I had a bit of some interesting news which I wasn't expecting, and so I kind of the mood for me suddenly, I wasn't feeling like going to the gym. I think that was the bigger thing.
But we all, for all intents and purposes, we almost made it. You were going to come by and pick me up.
I was in gym clothes,
and then.
It was you in jeans that actually finished me off. I was like, he's in jeans.
Well, it was the fact that I already went to the gym yesterday. Yeah. So my ass and my legs were just that sore from leg day.
Now that's what you call a PT. Oh yeah.
I was like, I can't do another day. Whatever you want to do, you're going to want to do something using the muscles.
I was going to want to use arm muscles, arm and chest. But that's fine.
I couldn't do it.
No, it's fine. And finally, just basically what I was actually doing I've written almost like an itinerary of stuff to talk about.
Oh, good.
I don't know why. I just thought I would. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about, because we were talking about earlier, and it was really funny, the difference between being spiritual and being religious.
Yes.
Does everything happen for a reason? So that's what we're going to close out with, because I think by the time we get there, we're going to be so exasperated by ourselves, we just won't give a fuck. And we're going to be really mean to basically people we've dated, actually. I think we're just going to do character assassination. So that. What do you mean people are bitter? Who?
I'm not bitter at all.
No.
Oh God, yeah.
No. Only took 2 years of your life, so it's all right. It's cool. Nice. Anyway, but we'll wait to get onto that one. Yeah. So we'll start with party boy Boris Johnson.
You're gonna have to explain this to me because I'm not really mega into political news.
So it's I don't know if it's political news at this point. It's just that Downing Street, we talked about in the first episode, there has just been a continuous stream of them having parties and gathering while locking the rest of the country up. And then going, but we work so hard, we need to let off steam.
So has it been like this cascade of we discovered one, we're like, okay, we admit to the one, but nothing else happened. Okay, we found another one. Okay, we admit to the two, but nothing else happened. We've also found evidence of a third one. Okay, we admit to this third one, but nothing else happened, we swear.
It's like you're watching the news, because that is exactly what's happened.
It's not, is it?
It literally is.
Okay, the line is here. We never crossed this line. Okay, the line is now here. We don't cross this line. Okay, the line is now here.
Oh, no, literally, the line's fucked off. The line is adopted them. I think... I'm sure someone will correct me, but I think we could be on Partygate 7 or 8 at this point. Yeah, there's been...
You couldn't write it.
Well, the last one was a party on Boris Johnson's birthday.
No, Boris, what are you playing at?
And he was having a birthday party where one of the... I heard an MP being interviewed on 5 Live today, and it was something about, he was saying, I told my 5-year-old daughter you can't have a birthday party. And then Boris on the same day...
was living it up. Beers for all my country. conservative lads.
I mean, to be in kind of like the pursuit of fairness, which I don't often give to the Conservative Party, I don't think it was like a full-on naked rave in Downing Street. But what I do think it was like birthday candles, a cake, and drinks, and people gathered in a room to celebrate.
Whilst other people were dying across the country,
And also
and
weren't allowed to
lockdown
see
measures
people.
were in place for a very good, very real reason.
Yeah.
At the moment now, it's hard to. If anything happened right now, it'd be harder to criticize them because everyone's vaccinated and it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah,
but
but at
last
the
year that
time-
wasn't the case, was it?
No, at the time it was, that was, I can't remember, because I remember around the time house parties were getting like £10,000 fines. I remember
Yes.
that was happening because people were rebelling.
Yeah, that happened quite a lot in Manchester near.
Yeah. And
Where I
obviously,
used to
and I
uni.
thought at the time that was completely fair. Like, don't have a fucking house party, you moron.
Yeah.
But also, where's Boris's fines? Because at my
Yeah.
count, he's on, I think, 80,000.
In terms of fines.
Yeah, well,
If
you know.
he actually got a fine for each one. But he won't.
No, he won't.
He might
And-
have to resign. There might be a vote of no confidence or something.
Well, the police are investigating like 6
Oh, really?
at the moment. Like, they
okay.
are. Like, I don't think there's ever been so many ongoing inquiries
Wow.
in Downing Street.
Here's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Should we forgive our leaders
No.
because they are not... You can't hold them up to an impossible standard.
Yes, you can.
You can hold the office up to the impossible standard, but not necessarily the person, because they are people at the end of the day.
No,
I've spoken
Boris-
to a few people
Boris
about
is
this.
a prick.
I've spoken to a few people about this
Uh-huh.
who shall remain anonymous,
Uh-huh.
and they're not Tories, but I think some of the consensus now is that they don't care simply because they just want them to get on with running the country.
Hit the laugh track. Hit it
It's
now.
been there.
Hit the laugh
I
track.
want to. That was not
No,
it.
that wasn't the laugh track. No, that's still not the laugh track. That's the cheer track. Oh, fuck's sake. You know what? The moment's
There you
gone.
go. Oh,
The moment's gone.
Boris.
Look, fuck Boris. And I have no sympathy for Boris. And the thing is, I understand the notion of we want them to get on running the country and all of this stuff. But fundamentally, I want Boris out of that office as fast as possible.
Right. Okay.
So there's also that, which is fun to deal with because the man is so unfit for public office. It's absolutely insane. So out at any
Yes.
means necessary, and by the way, we're way past the necessary means. He should have been gone weeks ago.
Yeah, true. He's just good for comedy value for me, anyway. That's my view on it. But here,
Yeah.
check this out. Do you think your punishment should be proportional to how much public power you have?
No, I think everyone should abide by the same laws and same punishment.
Well, let's say they had a house party, which they did, but they should be setting an example for everyone else,
Yes.
saying you can't party. So a normal person's, that's someone who doesn't work in Parliament, their fine is 10 grand.
Yes.
But if you're seen to be doing that as a member of Parliament,
Yes.
the group of people who are making the rules, maybe your fine should be £100,000.
But wasn't your argument just that you said that we shouldn't deify them and they should be seen as people and they'll make mistakes too?
They do.
I'm
obviously.
just saying that you're quite
Well, they
literally
do, obviously.
holding them up to a separate. I agree. I would love to give them £100 fine. I'm merely saying for the sake of that
I'm
argument
not saying that
you're-
specifically. I'm saying that people I have talked to
Yes.
have said that they are just people and people make mistakes, and it is unrealistic to hold politicians up to the same standards. What you have to realise is that they are people and people will make mistakes.
Yeah, fuck them. The thing is, I look at politics as the last bastion of things you can achieve, right? So generally, by the time you've got into politics, you really kind of, what do people generally want? They want money, women, and power.
Right.
Or men if you're a woman. Well, actually, no, most women don't want men. Let's be honest. We're basically like, they want to have a kid. That's what women want.
Right.
Women's go money, kid, power.
Yeah.
So, and men's go money, women, power. So basically, by the time you're into office, you've generally got money because you've got to, because let's be honest, getting it, nobody pays you for running for office.
Right.
So you've got to have money behind you in the first place. And generally, you probably, at this point, looking for that power will attract women. And then by the time you've got that power, you then have money and power, which everyone wants, basically. So I just look at them all as power-hungry fuckers. I don't see any of them with any integrity.
So what is the alternative then
Yeah.
to giving them a fine and letting them carry on. Are you saying you should replace them every time something like this happens? Like, if politics is meant to be whiter than white,
Yes.
you're going to have to replace the leader every time they do something not even considered illegal, just slightly immoral.
The problem with it is, and I understand the notion that they're just human.
Yeah.
I do understand that. My problem with it is, if you're making the laws of this country, and you're making a law that you know that you actively basically would defy, or you break that law already,
Yeah.
and you are publicly found to be breaking that law, and you've made the law, you've got to go, because you've made a law that's fucked you. And if you're that incompetent, I think that's as bad as a shot to the head. I mean, like, that's just, how do you come back from that? Like,
I feel if they've made a law that has been broken, it's a different situation. It's like, yes, you should go.
but they literally but Boris
So
had.
I'm not making any excuses for, say, the Conservatives for breaking their own rules that
Yes.
they're setting out for the rest of the country.
Yes.
But I suppose that speaks to how much politics has become outrageous, that we're letting people stay who are breaking their own laws.
Yeah.
Because it's like, to be honest, it can't beat what Trump was like. It's sort of mild compared to the things Trump did, wasn't it?
No, but Trump should be the exception.
Like inciting a riot.
But
on his
Trump should
single-
be the exception, not the rule. I want to make that,
Yeah.
like, Trump, we will look back on
Yeah.
and we'll go, he's like the Fidel Castro of, like, you know, of American politics. It's like,
Think
how the
about-
fuck did that happen?
But I would say, think about the days gone by,
Yeah.
where, for example, Bill Clinton had to give up office
Yeah.
purely for putting his cock in someone.
Was he impeached for that?
He was.
I mean, and that actually, when you look back on it,
It was just an extramarital affair, not illegal.
pretty light stuff,
Exactly.
you know,
yeah.
compared to
Yeah.
inciting a riot.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we should try and maintain some standards, because
Here's a question:
know.
who, you being more politics based than me, would you replace Boris with, though?
a pet hamster.
He'd be better, wouldn't he?
A pet hamster. I mean, genuine. That's the only thing for me with Boris. It scares me more who could replace him. Because Sajid Javid, he's one of the best of a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic Raab for me is the best of a bad situation, because he doesn't seem completely evil. Priti Patel seems genuinely evil.
I've got an answer that I would just say because I want to watch the world burn.
Don't say Jacob Rees-Mogg. You can say Jacob Rees-Mogg, aren't
I
you?
was going to say
Oh,
Jacob
God.
Rees-Mogg, yeah.
Or Michael Gove would be as bad.
Oh, I think Mogg would be worse.
Oh my God.
Mogg is kind of like Thatcher's last wish come to life.
Well, I remember that's how I described, the last female prime minister. She was Thatcher's last remaining Horcrux.
Theresa May.
Theresa May, yeah, she was Thatcher's last remaining Horcrux.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
no, I don't know, is it too late now to reverse women's rights? Because Jacob Rees-Mogg would find out.
To reverse, he'd be like, "Oh, can we try it? Can we? We could give it a go,
He
couldn't we?"
literally- he
Oh.
describes, he wants to go back to a 1950s Britain. And because I think that was when he was born, even though he's probably like 10 or 15 years older than us. So he was born in the 80s.
Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Yeah.
Mate,
He's not old.
He is.
Is he?
He's got to be something like
No, I think
late
he-
40s.
I think he dresses old.
No, he's got to be late 40s, Moggy.
No.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up because
Fresh
Oh, no, he
memes
might be.
for the Moggy and teens. Yeah,
oh, no.
he is.
Okay.
No, he's properly
he's
like
1950.
middle-aged.
He's 1952.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
But-
my God, he's older than like our parents even then, if he's 52.
No, he's 52.
Oh,
he's not.
I thought you said he was
no, he
1952
No, he
there.
was born in 1969.
Right.
But also, if you think about the music and cultural icons that were going on when he was born, how
Yeah.
the fuck has he ended up like that?
I know, yeah. He like lived through the 80s.
Yeah. I don't know how genuinely, I don't know how he exists. Because, I mean, we went to school with some pretty rich, eccentric people. I'm not going to make any bones about that. But you can't survive as those nutty rich aristocrats these days. Well, apparently you can.
It would be interesting to look at how a conservative is made.
Oh, they are they are made, not born, aren't they? They're like Urukai. They come out of this pit of. They're actually made in gold.
Well, I actually feel
And
like
they
that's how it is for the
rise.
Labour Party as well, though.
Oh, what they're like? What? Because they come out of the mud? Of the
No,
north?
it's like they're no longer actually working class people. They're
No.
made at university when you buy
Yeah.
when a student buys their first pair of patchwork loose Afghanistani trousers and eats their first falafel wrap
Yeah, that's yeah. I
and
mean,
attends their first protest.
and starts.
Look at that! We have it. You can now join the Labour Party.
and starts kind of just playing around with socialism and communism and kind of
Yeah.
going, "Ooh, there's some good points here."
Yeah.
Okay,
I managed to
there we
read the
go.
foreword of Marx, but didn't finish it all. But I'm now a communist.
Yeah. So like
Didn't finish it all because I had to go out for a cigarette, which I rolled myself, obviously.
Yeah. Well, but also I remember we had I don't know if was it recorded when we had a bit of a laugh about when we were trying to work out which had bigger numbers of kills, if it was communism, if it was the right or the left.
It's definitely the left.
It was the left.
100% the left.
Heavier because you were more equal than the rest of your comrades, and that meant you killed a lot of
I
them.
suppose if you blame the entirety of World War II on the right,
Yes.
saying that it was started by Hitler, obviously,
Yes.
let's just say for the sake of argument, he accepts solely all of the blame. Not unreasonable.
I think the
But-
cyanide pill confirmed that.
But
Yeah.
his death toll, I don't think, is actually close to.
I think
Stalin.
Stalin's got him,
And
and
then
Mao.
we've got Chairman Mao on top of
Yeah.
that to contend with. So it's actually kind of like, no, the left has more KD ratio,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, which is why it's. But you see, this is what they should put in front of the pamphlets when you're making your first communist.
Yeah.
It's literally like a my first communist pack that you should give
Yeah.
to students.
May make you want to tell tale on your parents
Yeah,
and get them killed. Yeah.
but oh fuck yeah, they would. Do, but
That's
if
what-
they
that's
would.
what
They
people
literally
did.
want to get people cancelled.
Yeah.
It's the same thing now.
Yeah.
They'll just cancel people for fun. God, this is all getting a bit deja vu. This.
I know. I suppose it's like cancel culture isn't anything new, is it? It's
No.
just it's like it's come around again,
It's
like
just
round robin.
Well, it used to be the right that would do it. Now it's the left. And I'm going.
but then
how-
it is a
how-
thing at the left because it's like I'm living in central Moscow and I sometimes think maybe the Communist Party doesn't have my best interests at heart. Cancel him, cancel him right now to a gulag.
I was going to say cancel him. That's a euphemism for kill him.
Yeah, cancel him,
Like, yeah,
kick his door down,
Yeah, yeah,
black
we're-
bag him and send him to the gulag for
Thank
like.
God, we're not quite there yet in this country.
No.
It's coming, but
Yeah.
we're not quite there yet. That was very funny.
The reign of Kathy Newman.
I enjoyed that. Speaking of, ironically, communism against capitalism,
Yeah.
the stock market has taken quite a whack this week. I was watching
Things I know about.
yeah, no, well,
More things I know
I
about.
was watching listen, you're welcome to throw in others. We've got Meatloaf coming, all right. But eToro, which I use, I've been watching kind of stocks just crash everywhere.
Yes, I've seen that. My personal stocks are down. Yeah.
Are they quite? Yeah.
My savings, yeah.
I'm scared.
Down about 5% or so.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot, really.
One of mine went down 21%, and I was just sat there scared.
Yeah.
I'd only put like $80 into it, so I was all right, but I was still not feeling good.
No.
Is the dollar seems to be just fucked at the moment because there seems to be a course correction going on because obviously inflation's going to be a thing.
Right.
It's a little bit scary. But also what's really fun, crypto is getting annihilated.
Oh, God. But surely that will mean eventually, because crypto is annihilated, that
Yeah.
the traditional forms of currency will come back stronger
They
to
should
replace
do.
it.
They should do. Well, I didn't realize, and this is really boring, but I'm really sorry. You'll love this. So basically, do you know what kind of currency's worth is based on, effectively? So the dollar, for example, do you know what it's all based on?
The total sum of the material wealth of the nation, surely.
So originally, it was basically, so you know Fort Knox, there's a shitload of gold bars.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
the actual currency is backed up by physical gold. So that's
Yeah.
how their currency came
Yeah.
about.
The physical wealth of the nation. Is it
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
stuff they have, like gold?
But so basically physical resources that they kind of went, okay, well, we need to trade with this. So we made paper money, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming we've done the same in the UK because we seem to have, our currency always seems super strong. even during Brexit, we still were matching most people.
I reckon at the end of World War II, because the pound is weirdly strong for some stupid reason compared to the size of the country.
Because we used to own everyone.
I think it's. Do you think at the end of World War II, they just, as the allies are going through Europe, they just stumble upon all this swastika emblemed gold bullion, and they're like, everyone take a bar, put it in your pocket. we're going.
Just all of them limping off with these gold bars, just like
what is that?
Nothing. Not sure.
It's just a Luger. Just took it off a dead body. It's fine.
Again, the thing I hate about that was I knew exactly where it was going.
I know.
I just was there like, I can read his mind. Oh my God, don't do it. And Nazi gold. Thank you.
The gold bullion.
But anyway, but the point is that currency is all based on something physical, like gold, right?
Yeah.
That's why crypto's a pyramid scheme. Because crypto is based on nothing. Crypto has value because people say it has value.
Yeah, I still don't understand
physical value.
Why e-currencies like that, or cryptocurrencies, whatever they're called. Yeah. What is actually backing it up? The value.
Well, this is the thing that, the more, because I've always been a bit suspicious of them, and the more I've looked into them, the less and less convinced I am that they're worth anything. Because the new fad at the moment is NFTs. Now, NFTs is fucking funny, right? But ironically, an NFT, I would say, has more value than crypto because you can own it. You can physically own an NFT and use it in the metaverse. So when we all, end up kind of reenacting...
So what is the metaverse?
Oh, right, okay. I'll take a drink.
Mm-hmm. Is this kind of the online... You're saying we're moving away people's lives to online where...
Virtual reality.
Yeah. Their assets are exclusively online and their lives are exclusively online, that sort of thing?
Pretty much bang on the money, yeah. So, so have you seen WALL-E?
Yeah.
The concept that basically the Earth's fucked because everyone just ends up sitting in chairs watching stuff and they don't notice anything around them.
Yeah.
That's basically what they started building because science fiction's hilarious and bang on the money.
Yeah.
So the metaverse basically is a virtual world that's owned by Facebook. And that's why they changed their company name to Meta, basically. So it's the metaverse.
So it's a virtual reality thing.
It's a virtual reality world. Yeah, virtual reality world, which has literally been... I don't know if it's been completely built, but it's being built.
It's Snow Crash all over again.
It's The Matrix. It's whatever you want it to be. It's any sci-fi film. This is what it's going to become.
Yeah.
So the NFTs effectively are artwork that you can own. So they're a flex. They're a flex of something that will be in a virtual world.
Yes.
So at some point they'll start selling virtual Lamborghinis or aircraft. It'll be insane. I think, and don't quote me on this, I think there was a metaverse private yacht or something like that sold for $50 million. And it's a virtual yacht.
To use in what situation? On a game or something?
Yeah, so it's in this world. So, but the thing what they're banking on is that stuff in the metaverse will become as desirable as things
in the real world. Yeah. So the currency will become equally expensive.
Yes. Well, and the currency they thought it was going to be, I think they were banking on Bitcoin. I'm not sure what it was.
So they put all of their chickens in the basket for Bitcoin to become the currency of the metaverse.
I don't know if they have, but it would not shock me.
Right.
Because there was these also mini versions of Bitcoin called Sats.
Yeah.
And Sats were going to be basically our version of pound coins.
Yeah.
I've actually got 25,000 of them randomly.
It's a world I still don't really understand.
No.
And people have these Bitcoin mining rigs they make out of computers, which presumably just... you set the computer going and it searches the internet all the time to mine it through processes or something.
And I don't know if it makes it or... Because I don't know how you'd mine.
It can't physically make it. It must be something like it uses an algorithm to collect it somehow.
Yeah. But again, it doesn't exist, but it does exist. So how do you mine it?
Yeah. Well, all currency is literally just an arbitrary representation of an actual piece of wealth, like the gold you were talking about in Fort Knox.
But there is nothing. But Bitcoin is Bitcoin. There's nothing that it's representing.
That'd be interesting to find out if it was actually something.
Well, I think
because it might be that all the transnational corporations and stuff, have made the e-currencies, as a way of getting around things like import duties and stuff.
There may have
So
been.
they've
It was
maybe-
used for money laundering.
Yes, made it amongst themselves so they don't have to lose money on exchanges and stuff like that.
Apparently, it was made by Chinese billionaires. Basically, so Chinese oligarchs, effectively, they actually created Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And so that's also why it's really scary, because it's like, so what are you doing with that? But also, I heard a theory on gold. China is now the world's biggest mass producer of gold, and gold bars specifically. And there was a theory that China were going to launch their own cryptocurrency.
Okay.
And it would be the only currency in the world that was worth something because it was backed up by
Their
gold.
massive wealth of gold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a currency that's actually worth something,
That's intense, isn't it?
which would be, and it would also mean that China would become that crypto would become the global payment method.
Therefore,
China's
China's
would own
pulling
the world.
strings. Yeah.
China would own the world.
They'd have your balls in a vice if you
they'd-
use that.
We'd be fucked.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not
I still,
necessarily you as the individual, but let's say as a country,
yeah,
in the near future, 10 years from now,
yeah,
85% of the British population is economically dependent on cryptocurrency.
yeah,
Like they've put a certain amount of their asset into it.
yeah.
And then China says, to the UK government, unless you do what we want, we will impose a trade embargo. That's a lot of leverage there, isn't it?
Yes, I'm sure there's a huge amount of things you could do with it.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
I'm sure it would.
As an example, it's like that's too much leverage
Yeah.
to have almost.
And I'm sure then the Swiss would launch their own one, and actually that would be the European version that we'd use. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so crypto's nuts,
Yeah.
basically. And because actually, I found out as well with the US dollar, one of the reasons it's tanking at the moment, it a long time ago outstripped the gold reserves they had.
I was going to say, it must mean like in terms of inflation that
Yeah. It's
in
not.
the federal bank and Fort Knox, they actually don't.
They don't
have
physically
that much
have
anymore.
enough. No,
Yeah.
so it's not backed by anything.
Yeah.
So it's dollars. It's like it's all become theoretical.
Yeah.
Which is not when currency is theoretical, because let's be honest, currency is theoretical anyway. But when it physically becomes theoretical, or it can't physically be theoretical, but you get the point. When it's actually theoretical, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So it's a slightly scary world. I should turn my phone off. I do apologise.
Yeah, it's you bad boy.
I'm very sorry.
Bad boy.
I'm very sorry. You can punish me later. Oh,
I will be punishing you later, sir.
oh yeah. Shall I? You know what? Shall I move us away from this? Because I feel like this is not your most interesting thing that I could be talking to you
Well,
about.
it is interesting. I just know nothing about crypto. To me, it's almost like it is just like hand in hand with the dark web. It's like I understand the dark web more than crypto, I think.
Yeah. I actually know less about the dark web,
Right.
if I'm honest. Tell me about the dark web.
Well,
Is
there's,
that where the dark
there's
things
basically, when you get a standard computer with a standard browser, those browsers are basically, they've got like the blinkers on.
Yes.
And whenever you do a search or whatever, you only ever get the search results from the light web,
Yeah.
and your IP address is tracked and all of that sort of stuff.
Right.
So you can get a specific browser. There's loads of them out there that basically don't have the same regulations and tracking and stuff, and they're not illegal or anything. It's just a browser with all the restrictions taken off it.
If this conversation ends with child pornography, I swear to God, I'm walking away.
Well, you can. That's the weird thing, is you can use a dark web browser to look at nefarious, immoral things like that if you want to.
Oh, good. Or so the Michael Jackson Thriller album, for example. I fucked up the joke. The Michael Jackson Thriller album, for example.
That's certainly where Michael Jackson may have gone on to say, I want to buy another crate load of horse tranquilizers to go to sleep tonight.
And you know why he was doing it? Because he just wanted to be there, be there.
Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. But so you can use one like the Onion router. That's quite a famous one.
Right. The Onion router.
Yeah.
Is that because it's got layers, donkey? Layers.
There's some sort of stupid joke to it. I can't remember what it is with the Onion router, but
It makes you cry.
yeah. So basically, if you can't use Google because that's also a filtered search engine and stuff like that. So
Right.
I think you can use like Yahoo or DuckDuckGo or basically stuff like that. And
DuckDuckGo.
yeah. You not heard of that one?
No.
Or you can. Or
I
you,
clearly lived a very innocent life.
or you can use Google, but I think it might actually be your browser that filters out all the results that are considered unsafe. So, for example, if I type in on the Onion router, the browser, the Pirate Bay,
Yeah.
the ordinary user might think that the Pirate Bay, the original website, that's been gone for years. Like you can't access it; it's been blocked.
Yeah.
Because you'll get that message saying it's blocked on this server or this system.
It's
right?
not gone, is it?
It's not gone.
Okay.
Still very much alive. The original Pirate Bay. You just have to use a dark web browser to get to it.
So basically, all the because I was thinking this, right? I know, and Mum, if you're listening, can you just go away? That was a really sound moment. For me. So what we're saying is that, like Google, for example, Google's cool with porn. Basically, is what we're saying, that Google, because Google can actively filter out that you can't watch pornography.
If Google wanted to, they could make it really hard for any of the porn results to show up. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically,
Or the browsers could.
So Google as a company accept that kind of like explicit images of other human beings is basically something that as a company they're like,
Because that's
we're
not
okay with it.
technically illegal.
It's not illegal, but you could argue it's immoral. Basically, I was just trying to kind of point out the moral irony of Google.
But the thing is, then if you have the tools, like the Onion router, a browser for the dark web, you can then go anywhere you want to find people who will do anything. Like you might not necessarily find in this country somebody selling, like say this. Let's say you wanted to get hold of an RPG.
Why would I want to get hold of a FBI?
Well, let's be honest.
Go on. Why do I want to get hold of an RPG?
Let's be honest. If you want to get hold of an RPG, you're going to do something like get it on the dark web.
I was going to go and break into a military base, but sure.
Yes, because that's easier than just purchasing it from someone who knows what they're doing on the dark web.
How do you ship an RPG?
In a box,
Okay.
One of those, I don't know, wooden box with the sort of hay filling in them that you always see in military films.
I was going to say, you're describing Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
How much is an RPG?
I'm not going to go into that because it's not like I've looked.
You know how much an RPG is online,
I don't. I'd imagine it'll be tens of thousands of pounds to buy one.
Okay, how much is a Thai bride? You must have Googled that.
No, I haven't.
Oh, DuckDuckGo did.
No, I've literally only ever used the Onion router to find 1-2-3 movies. When they blocked my favourite 1-2-3 movies. This is before I decided to pay for the streaming services.
Yeah.
Because I was like, once Disney opened their own streaming service, I was like, well, it's all there anyway. For £5 a month, I might as well go clean and honest.
Yeah, I remember having like a really big moral issue with it at some point. I stopped illegally streaming stuff basically because I was in the industry.
If you want to work in that industry, it's just like, well, you're literally taking money from yourself. Yeah. If you imagine it as like trickle down economics or whatever.
Yeah, that's how I used to feel about the license fee. Because I was working for the BBC and I'm like, fuck off.
You might as well take it directly out of my salary and stop bugging me about it.
Exactly. Just there like, oh, that's an interesting. You know what? I was going to say let's talk about Meatloaf, but fuck Meatloaf. I want to talk about.
Who we're going to say fuck him?
I want to talk about the fact that did you see that the Tory Minister of Culture was saying that this was the BBC's last kind of bailout type thing with the TV license.
Well, maybe if they privatise the BBC, it'll get better.
I had the same argument with because both my parents at different points have worked for the BBC and still work for the BBC, and I was making the point that I was very careful because obviously they're both in radio. Mm-hmm. In fairness, BBC Radio, I think of the two is in the best shape. Would you probably agree that radio is better than the TV?
Yes, I would say the BBC Radio is a solid institution that will probably stand time immemorium.
Will outlive the cockroaches, basically.
Yes,
yeah, cool. But then on the flip side, you get to television, and the BBC TV makes me want to kill myself.
Yes, it so does, yeah.
It's dreadful.
And I think it's dreadful because they're just... maybe it's partly because of the funding, I think.
It may be.
From people I've heard who work at the BBC,
hello,
they tend to make a lot of in-jokes about themselves, about how...
No,
if they get a promotion or whatever...
Yeah.
or somebody moves to another production company. They make jokes about things like, oh, he's doing the exact same job as me at ITV,
Yeah.
and he's earning double the money.
Yeah.
Things like that. So
Yeah.
I think it's because maybe they're a publicly funded organisation.
I
Part of the way is that they're super slow to do anything because they've got that backlog of red tape to get around.
I think a bigger part of it is that what I can't stand about them is this whole kind of, it's almost like a quota of we've got to please everyone, and so in the process you please no one.
Yeah, they're not willing to make any.
They don't make
take any chances.
Take any risks
on anything,
and they don't make anything specifically for me. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they should.
It's
make
almost like they
something.
don't make anything specifically for anyone.
Well, that is my feeling. And like I was having an argument with my mum, and I was kind of going, okay, but for the price of, because the TV license is now 150 quid.
Yeah,
For that price, I can buy Netflix and Disney Plus,
yeah.
and both of them have content which are basically designed directly for me.
The audience they're losing really is young people.
Yeah.
And granted, there's a lot of stuff on there about young people, but it tends to kind of be. I feel like if it is ever something about young people, it's kind of dated by being like it's not relevant to young people now.
Massively.
Like the last thing I seem to remember that was good about young people on there was the one about AIDS or something. I think it was called like It's a Sin. It was about gay people with AIDS in the 80s.
Wasn't that Channel 4?
Was it?
Oh, it's Channel 4.
Well, there you go. That was the last relevant thing I felt like was actually on regular programmed television.
I think it was Channel 4. Yeah, the BBC haven't made anything that I would describe as good in...
As edgy.
Who is it? Yeah, Channel 4. Which is great.
Well, I feel like they have one channel, BBC Three, where the edgy stuff is meant to go, right?
Oh, duh.
Where the stuff that takes chances is meant to go.
You say your thing about BBC Three, and I'll have my rant about how angry I was about BBC Three.
Yeah,
So let's go.
but even with the stuff on BBC Three,
Yeah.
there's a lot of it now that they've had to jettison and be like, they're not even willing to take chances on BBC Three.
Yeah.
And their previous back catalogue,
Yeah.
they're not willing to acknowledge it anymore.
Yeah. So I'll add to that basically of kind of
Yeah.
like BBC Three was great. I remember growing up. It was the only thing that kind of
All
made
the comedies on it and stuff.
Yeah, and it made stuff that I thought was interesting or it was new or kind
Yeah.
of like, it was basically a platform for young people. And because it was a platform for young people, the BBC went, oh, no, we can't have this.
No.
And so and I remember Jack Whitehall was on it, was making some really good stuff, and now makes it for Netflix instead and makes more money. So well done, BBC, again, for killing a cash cow.
I think the BBC need to play the same game as everyone else in a sense that they need to get a decent streaming service on there that you're not
need to
forced to pay for
privatise.
it.
They just need to fucking privatise and to advertise.
They need to get a Netflix level streaming service.
That's
That,
too much money.
that isn't conditional on you having a TV license to view it.
Yeah.
Because that is dumb.
Yeah.
They should just have a Netflix system where it's like, well, you can pay £5 for a month to access everything
Yeah.
you want that's ever been on the BBC.
Yeah. Well, and make less stuff.
Yeah.
That for me is the biggest frustration that I was trying to remember. I think they have 9 dedicated channels. Do you know how much money that costs?
Yeah.
I think the only people in this country that have more is Sky, and that costs about 45 quid a month.
But Sky can pull it off because they've got a lot of sport channels. That's probably
they've got a lot
like
of
one of the
sport
biggest
channels.
earners for them is that they have
Exact-
exclusive sport channels and stuff like that.
Exactly, but you know what I mean though, that like there's so much wastage of money
Yeah.
on stuff that isn't good. And I feel like, I mean, we have so many kind of things about stuff that we loved, basically flagship shows that they've absolutely tanked to the ground.
Yeah.
And a lot of decisions that they've made that we don't like, they're made basically for cultural reasons of trying to please people rather than for artistic
Well, I think
decent
maybe
reasons.
it's because the BBC is almost essentially like an extension, like an arm of the government, that they have to be
Yes.
seen to be clean in the same way that the government are trying to be.
Which is ironic because the BBC have had more scandals than anyone else I can think of.
Yeah. So in terms of the PC bullshit, which
Yes.
makes everything super bland because no
Yes.
one's willing to say anything and put their neck on the line to make
Yes.
something interesting,
Yeah.
the BBC won't allow anyone to do that. And the other services,
they're
they're all
hardline
doing
it.
that better and taking a
Yes.
chance and at least going, oh, well, if it fucks up, we'll take it off or whatever. But the BBC aren't willing to do that.
Well, and if it was privatized, guess what? Top Gear never would have been cancelled. You would still have that cash
Yeah.
cow that Amazon is still milking.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have had the problems that you were getting before. You'd have so many shows that would still be at their peak because you've not tanked them off for the sake of, political correctness or whatever you want to call it, or kind of thing. We've got to do something edgy.
Yeah.
The money you would make by being able to commercialize stuff properly,
Yeah.
which they don't fucking do.
But it just seems like the fact is they don't have the financial backing.
They don't, but they.
Well, the fact any of the other major like streaming services out there,
Yeah.
they have like a division, or the bones and the bedrock of their company is actually that they're good at making money doing something
Yeah.
to then feed back into whatever they do to make the shows. Like, for
Yes.
example, Amazon, they've got a massive empire there
Yes.
bringing in money
Yes.
to fund their streaming service if they want to put on shows like the Grand Tour. Same with Disney. They have their plethora of films that they've sold over the years, and Disney World and all of that merchandising crap, all the stuff that the money they're making from that to put back into their streaming services to make original shows. Netflix is one of those where it's like, I'm not actually sure how Netflix get money.
Subscribers. They have, God, when I last checked, and this was like 3 or 4 years ago, I think it must be a lot more than that now. It was 19 billion they generated from subscriptions worldwide.
Wow.
It is I mean,
So it's enough to pay for their roster of new
Everything.
shows that they put out,
everything.
every week.
I don't even. I mean, Netflix was quite dodgy because I don't think they were ever in profit. They might be now, but I don't think they are because their stock price just fell fairly
Right.
massively.
Okay. So they weren't in profit for a long time.
No,
they were
they
just
were-
sort of managing to pay their employees,
But they
make
were-
the shows, and that's
but
about it.
they had like an infinite kind of graph of getting more and more people watching.
Oh, that's good.
But that's
Paid
why,
off for them.
But that's why their predictions were down by like 17 million subscribers, which is why their stock price just dipped a little bit.
I see.
But the point I was going to make, because I actually wrote my dissertation on this shit, because I have previous on bitching about effectively the streaming service and the BBC. That in fairness to the BBC, they are competing not with Channel 4 anymore, not with ITV. They're competing with Netflix, Amazon,
Yep.
Apple, and Disney, right?
Yeah.
So if you break them down into
And
company,
Apple when they get their shit together.
yes, I think
Did you say Apple?
Yeah, I think I said Apple.
Right.
So, but basically, so in that, right, you've got the biggest tech company in the world who are making stuff, who have an infinite wallet.
Yeah.
They can do what they want. So that's one of the people you're competing against. They've already
Yeah.
got Spielberg on board to do shit, which is nuts.
If the BBC actually want their stuff to be seen, what they should just do is license it to Apple. Be like, put it on your streaming service so someone actually wants to fucking watch your streaming service, because they don't with Apple, do they? It's one of those where I feel like people are still a bit hesitant to use the Apple streaming service, because it's like there's nothing really that good on
I was
there.
going to say because it's shit.
Exactly.
Because we both had it, and
Yeah, it's terrible.
I watched Mythic Quest on Apple,
And I was really
it.
excited for Foundation
That was
as an
bad.
Asimov fan, and that was terrible.
That was really bad.
I feel like Tom Hanks has signed up for like a 2 or 3 film deal with them,
Must have done.
and the things he's done
So
are
much
okay.
money. For so much money.
Yeah. They look expensive, and the Tom
Yeah.
Hanks ones have been okay.
Yeah.
But what a good thing to do would be for the BBC to approach them and to be like, put the things which have classically been good from our thing on there, from our system on there, and we'll take 20%. And by the time they've taken 20% from the monthly subscriptions of all the Apple stuff, they'll probably be able to put that back into making some great shows.
You massively could, except they've already done, I think it's UK TV, is they've got a streaming service that they teamed up with ITV to put all their old back catalogue of stuff.
Oh, is that BritBox?
BritBox, there you go, you got that thing. So they've already done that,
Yeah.
which is quite funny. But
It's not working.
It's not working, and but they've also basically when they put BBC Three online. This is basically my point. They were saying BBC Three was going to become part of their streaming service, right?
Yeah.
They were dipping their toe in the water. Do you know what their fucking budget was about 2 years ago for BBC Three?
What?
40 million quid. At the same time, I was watching a Netflix show that cost
probably cost about 40 million an episode.
It cost 9 million an episode of a 10 episode series. One of
Yeah.
about 300 series on there.
Yeah.
So they spent double the fucking BBC Three's budget on that show.
So
And
they can't compete budget-wise, can they?
but it's also like, why did you think you could?
I think it's because it's like a tree that needs pruning. If they
Yeah.
pruned it down to 4 or 5 genuinely good services,
Yeah.
then maybe they'd have enough money to make. It's quality over quantity, isn't it?
But also that's why
'Cause
it was
like you just said, they've got 9 TV,
channels or
channels.
something like that. Yeah.
but also continuous programming throughout the day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff to fill. So
Definitely.
ergo, they probably just make a lot of crap
Yeah.
because they're like, we need to fill it with something.
Yeah. And by the way, it's fine running daytime TV when you can put adverts in every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because you're getting revenue off making the adverts.
Yeah.
That's cool. But like when it's not, I've worked on daytime TV and, the standard's not high.
No.
In the nicest way possible.
No.
But it's, but ironically, the daytime TV that I was working on, one of them was like one of the biggest exports the BBC had. It was bought massively in America and Australia.
Which was what?
It was Father Brown that I was working
So that's
on.
really big in Australia
And America, yeah.
for some reason.
Because they love classic British kind of... It's set in the 50s.
Couldn't
So-
get anyone here to watch that.
No.
Couldn't get
what-
anyone here to be seen dead watching that.
I mean, ironically, my parents quite like it, but they're quite old. I love you both. But I don't think though that they can monetize the program properly, because I think the profit that was taken off that, they went, oh cool, we're going to funnel that into stuff that's not making us money.
Yeah.
So we're going to use that to make up the numbers. Now, if I was making that show,
Well, maybe
I'd
it's
be
like they're not-
give me my fucking money.
Maybe it's like they're not cutthroat enough. Like they do too much R&D and they're too interested in community outreach type
the
things.
management layers in the
Yeah.
BBC are fucking horrific. Like there are
Right.
people, there are committees for committees for committees for
That's-
committees.
yeah.
They are the classic company.
So they're not actually getting anything productive done.
No.
Because they're worrying about all the wrong stuff.
And it's all cultural wokeness, and it's all really.
Or it's more like the other, like we were mentioning earlier in the day, the other companies,
yeah.
they don't care if they make the best thing, just as long as it makes money. And in
Yes.
some way,
And the BBC the opposite.
yeah,
They are the BBC are. We don't care if it makes money, as long as we were seen to be doing the right thing or people aren't angry.
yeah.
That's
But
that's,
eventually, it just ends up being bad.
and bland and shit, and
Yeah.
and that's the they don't make anything controversial anymore, which is why they're so boring. Because you don't you take risks, which then kind of Top Gear was the last show where it's like any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
Top Gear were known worldwide.
Well, that's the thing. I find it hard to actually understand how they could be doing such a poor job when they've got such a massive world presence. They've got the BBC World Service and
BBC Worldwide is not owned by the BBC.
who's it owned by then?
It's a separate company.
Oh,
I know. The worldwide service.
that's interesting.
BBC Worldwide is not owned by the BBC.
Because I'd imagine that's the one that makes most of the money.
I think it does, yeah.
When they they have round the clock news
I know.
in the BBC's name, and then
I know.
and then they lease out all the shoes on the BBC International Service and stuff.
Yeah. Seriously, they're not linked.
How?
They are.
Who are they owned by?
I think they were separated fucking years ago. I'm assuming when we still had the
I'm
colonies
imagining
properly.
some sort of like evil twin. It's like an evil twin scenario.
It
They just went
is.
their separate ways.
And I'm fairly sure World Service tells the BBC to fuck off on a regular basis. Because I think I don't know, I can't remember
That
what the
is
arrangement
hilarious.
is,
That
but
is
they're not the same entity.
It's almost not the same company, really.
Yeah, effectively. But it's like, who let that happen?
Yeah.
Who went, that's a great idea. It must have been a cost-cutting exercise. But it's also BBC Worldwide. They are effectively like CNN, really.
Yeah.
They're not, they're a separate journalistic entity,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
It is.
But it is a... but the BBC is full of quite scary, insidious people and they like when you get those celebrities and they start talking about stuff that they clearly don't believe in, they just don't want to be cancelled.
Yeah.
So it's like start going on about feminism or kind of women's rights or misogyny, or start going on about kind of gay or transgender issues, or it's basically stuff where you can see they don't quite know enough about. You can see they're lying and that they want to be seen to be saying the right thing.
Yeah.
The BBC is full of those people. They don't believe what they're saying, but they'll say whatever they have to rise up the ranks and kind of, oh yeah, it's very strong. Yes, we think the right way.
Maybe
all
it's
of
the
that,
fact that
Jerry,
they're
and,
too centralised then. Like, for example, if Netflix... Because Netflix, a lot of the time, they employ another production company to make something for them, don't they?
Yes.
Rather than
Or
have
they
their
buy
own
it.
studios or whatever.
Yes.
So, if say they make a show,
Yeah.
which then becomes controversial,
Yes.
it's not really Netflix themselves who gets blamed, is it? Like, for example, if we watch the Dave Chappelle Netflix special,
No,
the
Netflix
blame-
do get blamed because they bought it.
right?
So it's actually worse. They didn't just make
No, but
it
it's
and
not.
go,
It's
we
not,
have to put it out.
But it's almost like, weirdly, they get some of the blame, but they don't get as much blame as, say, as if the BBC had put out that sort of show. Because they
Yeah.
seem more centralised, the criticism goes directly on the BBC. Like, no one ever knows the name of who the producer was on the show to
No.
blame them.
No.
They just go, "Oh, it's the BBC," and they're more afraid. They're more afraid of it.
But also, you know why that is? It's because people are forced to pay a TV license and you're not forced to pay for Netflix. I think it's quite a basic thing that if you've paid your TV license and you see something on there that offends you and you've basically forced to pay your TV license, people are angry.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, whereas if we watch something on Netflix that offends us, we can just cancel our subscription. We
Yeah.
don't actually have to, and also I'm sure both our parents pay for, because, you know, I pay for Disney and Amazon, but I'm very sure my parents pay for Netflix.
Yeah,
But that's
between
not
our
the point.
family, we've got them covered. Yeah, I pay for Amazon. I
Exactly.
think, yeah.
But it's like, I think that's really the reason why there's so much outrage on anything the BBC does.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, you're forced to fucking pay for it. That's...
Yeah,
That's,
it's an
you know.
interesting point. That, like, although there are other countries in Europe that have some type of TV license, I don't think it's
Yeah.
necessarily called a TV license in the same way, but it does come out of your taxes.
Yes.
So a lot of them have a similar
Yeah.
situation, but it's not like, say, the US where they just don't have anything. It's
No.
like anyone.
Well, Cable was a really fascinating... I'm going to start reading to my dissertation to you if I'm not careful.
Right.
But like, yeah, America's really fascinating, basically with deregulation and kind of how cable created. So basically, part of my dissertation was I theorized that the streaming services, I was basically calling them the streaming wars, were very similar to the cable wars that happened in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, where basically there was a deregulation, and so like there was no really kind of like analog TV, as you'd say. Everything was cable. And so you had a supply and demand thing. So TV got better and better in the US because everyone had to compete, so they had to make the best stuff to get you to buy their version of cable.
Yeah.
So-
because it wasn't just like these are the 9 or 4 channels available, and this is what's on the programming.
That's why there's like 900 in America.
Yeah.
Um,
It was
and-
like anyone who wants a channel can have it, and you just tune
yeah.
to a certain frequency on the
Yeah,
cable
yeah.
or whatever.
And then I think there was then regulations put in which killed it. And also the streaming services were the final, basic kind of like a foot on the
Nail
neck.
in the coffin.
for
for
them.
regular cable again.
Yeah, exactly. So like, but that was the theory of what happened there was basically the same. So like, and so they go in peaks and troughs, but it becomes a war of attrition.
Yeah.
And so when it becomes a war of attrition, the BBC are fucked. And actually, you know what's really funny? If it became a war of attrition between all the streaming services, BBC is not even, it's an ant. But Disney and Netflix are fucked. Because what will happen is, I mean, if Apple wanted tomorrow, they could absorb Disney. They could buy them. Because
Right.
I fully expect Disney to buy Netflix. Sorry, I fully expect Apple to buy Netflix.
Do you think?
Because they're doing such a bad job, Apple. I reckon they'll just go, oh, fuck it, and just, they'll just buy them.
They kind of need to find us to get in the game. They either
Yeah.
need to really invest in making some good shit,
Yeah.
like start their own film studio, like
Yeah.
Apple, do what everyone else has done and buy a fucking massive lot somewhere in the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah, Netflix because I think it was Netflix or Amazon bought Shepperton in this country.
Yeah, exactly. So they either need to do that and start making really good shit,
Yeah.
or find a serious amount of back catalogue
Yeah.
that meant something
Yeah.
to some people and put it on their, like, just outright buy the rights to a bunch of like popular shows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, they need to, they'll do something. But anyway, I find it all very fascinating because it's just a world of absolute insanity. And what I love is that quite a lot of the time I still watch YouTube. I don't watch any of the
Yeah.
streaming services. I
well,
watch YouTube.
the weird thing is YouTube has almost started to break out into that kind of like shows. I still consider YouTube to be what I would call like medium length content for me.
Yeah.
It's not quite a half an hour show usually.
No.
It's somewhere between 5 to
20.
15, 25
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like medium wave content, but they are starting to break out into other bits, which are like,
Long form.
but also in a serial. Like there's one on there
Yeah.
that I watched. The first thing I watched on there, where I was like, oh, this is a really good series that's being brought out recently.
Right.
Was they have one that's called The Pizza Show.
Okay.
It's, you know, because I like baking and shit, and I love pizza. There's a guy in New York called Frankie Pinelli, I think that's his name, who's a
Really, not Pepperami.
Can you imagine it? Well, he owns his own pizza place, and he travels the world reviewing the best pizza places and talking about the history of pizza and stuff. You know, going to Naples and Rome, whatever, doing that sort of thing. It's great.
It sounds like my version of a Holy Crusade. That
Well,
just
yeah, I know.
go back to the promise.
I was thinking we should do that. We should have a pilgrimage where we go to the places he's mentioned in the pizza show.
I think we should have a pizza pilgrimage. I think
Yeah.
absolutely that could be. That's our road to Damascus.
Yeah.
That is kind of like, you know, you go and get the best pizza.
But he
as well.
does, like, today's episode, we're doing a whole episode on Florence or whatever, or we're in, like, Chicago, and it's like a massive budget. It's made by a fairly big production company, and it looks really good, and it's professional, and it's in hour-long serials on YouTube. But the thing is, YouTube are breaking into the market now of like, for some reason, you can now rent films from YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Like that never seemed to be a thing, but now they're probably making a lot of money out of film rentals as well, aren't they?
I still get off Amazon, but yeah.
I do. It's almost like I don't trust the YouTube one for some reason. Or it's like I haven't set it up
It
to...
looks seedy, doesn't it? It doesn't look legal.
I know.
I don't know why, but it doesn't. I think because it's run off the Google Play Store, and the Google Play Store fundamentally looks dodgy,
Right.
even though it's not, but it looks dodgy.
I think with YouTube, I am used to viewing films on YouTube. In the days when you could do this, people would just upload them in parts, and you would watch a film, like parts one through 20
I missed
in
that
like
day.
15-minute videos.
And
on
also, like, the
YouTube.
voices always be a bit higher and be a bit sped up.
to
and all
avoid
of,
the copyright bots who could tell what you were listening to.
Yeah. Oh, they were the good old days.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember all that.
Or it might have some sort of watermark, like it was darker on the outside and slightly lighter in the middle or something to avoid like recognition of the film or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, the amount of TV shows and films I've watched like that. But
Yeah.
anyway, right. I'm gonna move us on because I feel like we've been going quite a while.
I think we have.
How are we doing?
In terms of time, we're on 58 minutes.
Fucking hell, this has flown. Right, I've got two more things and I want to talk about. I'll kick off some others.
Go on.
I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, because I know nothing about the man, to give homage to Meatloaf. I don't care either way, but I'm going to give you the stage to say
Well,
whatever you want to
I
about
don't know
Meatloaf.
his life story, but in the news, obviously, Meatloaf died a few days ago. Legendary rock and roller, the voice of a generation.
Mm-hmm.
Famous for his breakout album that was is considered a classic of the decade is
Yeah.
Bat Out of Hell, isn't it?
Oh, what were the other song? I'm just remembering the BBC pun was that I saw that made me cry, like when he was still warm. What they made a pun at? What were his famous songs?
So you got Bat Out of Hell, Paradise by the
I
Dashboard
won't
Light.
do that for. I'll do anything
It's
for
not
love.
yeah.
What's
Dead Ringer. There's another one called Dead Ringer for Love.
So we didn't do. I'll do anything.
You did, yeah. That was Bat Out of Hell too, yeah. I would do anything for love.
Oh yeah. So that's what the BBC thing was called. It was says, "What wouldn't Meatloaf do for love?"
Oh, for
and he
God's
wasn't.
sake.
He was literally still warm. And it was just, and it was like, it was so disrespectful and funny.
Which, by the way, if you're one of the people that doesn't understand what Meatloaf is not doing for love, then it's just like, how stupid are you that you can't follow the lyrical content of a song?
I would do anything for
Because
love.
the first half of
I
the
won't do
chorus
that.
is detailing all the stuff that he wouldn't do.
One of them was go on a diet and not have diabetes. He was a big boy.
He was a big boy, yeah. The weird thing is, people seem to love Meatloaf, but I don't think a lot of people seem to acknowledge
Tastes good.
the arrangement that he was basically just like a performance character
Yes.
for the songs of Jim Steinman.
Right.
Because it was Jim
Tell me
Steinman.
about Jim Steinman.
Jim
Who's
Steinman was a very famous songwriter who not only worked with Meatloaf,
Okay.
but worked with like Bonnie Tyler and Celine Dion, like loads of people.
That's not
And,
a mix I'd thought of.
He wrote I Need a Hero, I'm holding out for a hero to... And also...
Shrek, yep, that's good.
When you touch me like this and you whisper like that. You know that Celine Dion classic. It was lost long ago, but it's all coming back.
He didn't do the Titanic song, did he?
I'd have to check that. That was Celine Dion, but I don't know if it was a Jim Steinman song. So Jim Steinman wrote pretty much all of the Meatloaf material, like all of the good stuff anyway.
Nice. Can you actually have a crack at making some meatloaf at some point? I'm getting hungry for meatloaf while we're talking.
I like baking and I like cooking, but it's one of those things, meatloaf, that I think about it in my mind, because I don't really know what it is, but I'm trying to imagine a meatloaf, and it just sounds disgusting to me.
It's very nice. Also, what you're saying is, you'll do anything for love,
but I won't do. I'll do anything for the baking channel, but I won't do that. I won't fucking make meatloaf.
Could you see me setting myself up for that joke? I was just like, I'm gonna get to it. You did. I don't care how I get.
You were gonna worm me into that corner, no matter what.
Yeah, I'll make meatloaf. It's really nice.
Is it?
It's really good.
So what is it traditionally served with? Just like vegetables and stuff?
Yeah, having like mashed potato
and gravy
and like kind of carrots, broccoli, peas.
So it's almost basically just their version of a Sunday roast dinner, but it's just like a weird meaty loaf thing.
I think it's sausage meat. And,
yeah, that's what I'm imagining in my head. Some type of sausage meat with
onion and like it's like a mix between bangers and mash basically, and like a Sunday roast.
Put in something like a bread pan so that it comes out as like a loaf.
Yeah, and I think you put jam on the top of it and stuff. And
jam?
It's something sweet, like a glaze, like a jam or honey glaze or something on top of it.
They're not doing themselves any favours. It sounds disgusting to me.
It's really good.
Right.
You can say what you want, because I'll do anything for love, and I will do that.
But I won't do that.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I think I've given you time for your homage to Meatloaf. I feel like you've not defended the name of Meatloaf, and I've spent most of it roasting the man.
Well, I will say that he was a great singer. Was a great performer.
His best performance was definitely in Tenacious D.
That is an excellent cameo when he's Jack Black's dad in Tenacious D. Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, my favourite if I had to choose, I would say Bat Out of Hell is a classic, the first album, but my favourite is Bat Out of Hell 2 with I Would Do Anything for Love on it. That album, because that wasn't on the first one.
Hang on, so he couldn't be bothered to think of another name for an album, he just called it number 2?
There's 3 of them, yeah.
So he couldn't be asked to think of new names for albums?
No, but the thing is, he's got a lot of work, but all of the Bat Out of Hells are a similar theme. They're like concept albums that are like one story after another. It's quite cool.
So I'll do anything for money, but I won't write a new album title.
He won't write his own songs, apparently. You can't really be a writer.
Okay, I'm understanding why this man got roasted as soon as he died.
Yeah, it's not even like all of that is Jim Steinman. All the writing of it, all of that stuff is Jim Steinman.
This is I'm gonna move away. I just think it's mean. Right, got one last topic before we wrap up because
say adieu to Meatloaf. He's gone to meet his maker.
Oh,
MEAT. To know him was to loaf him.
Oh,
and to loaf him was to know him.
Oh my God! Give me a slice of that. That was. I'm gonna get away from the puns. Yes, so the last thing I want to talk about, basically, and we were talking about before, and I thought this would be very funny. I'm gonna give us. We can have 10 minutes on this because we could do this for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
The difference between spirituality and being religious, and does everything happen for a reason within that? Go.
Well, I would say no. Of course it doesn't happen for a reason. It's fair to say, I think, that you and we're both subscribers to basically the chaos theory.
Yes.
Is that within the confines of physics,
yes,
anything that can happen
will happen.
Either will happen or has the potential to happen. Nothing's preordained.
Yes. And also there's a huge amount of cause and effect.
Yes.
So it's like, because we were talking, one of the people I was talking to, it was a girl. She believed that everything happened for a reason, but also then as a part of that was consequences seemed to be not that she didn't accept consequences, but the idea that everything had a consequence seemed to be an interesting concept. So it's kind of like, because everything happened for a reason.
She didn't think everything had a consequence.
But everything happens for a reason. So like everything, there was like a predetermined destiny, but then if you make a decision and there's a consequence that's negative, I don't think was completely convinced it was
It's
their
like
fault.
they conveniently get rid of that bit. When they say everything happens for a reason, that's just the good stuff.
Yeah. Everything happened for a reason. So I'm
Well,
going to go...
we forget the death of babies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That is not... Or it's the unseen part of
Well,
God's
it's just the
plan
thing
that
it's just
we forget about.
Well, it's just the thing of, like, if I take heroin and, like, it makes all my teeth fall out and I go a bit crazy and I become a crack whore, but I chose to put a needle in my arm, well, that's a consequence of what you would describe as everything happening for a reason. I'm like, what? But you chose to... If you don't accept consequences, how would you do anything?
Yeah. I think for me, the same people that say there is a predetermined plan for everything the religious people will point the finger at the atheists and say, you are immoral, or you must think your life is worthless because you don't think things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Therefore, nothing matters.
Yeah.
But the fact is, if everything does happen for a reason, like it's predetermined,
Yes.
like your path is laid out for you
Why try?
by the big guy, then truly nothing happens for a reason because your path is already laid out for you.
Yeah.
It's like there's no actual reason for everything, because it's certainly not freedom of will. That's one thing.
And also, you can never be proud of anything you do because it's not your achievement.
It's not your
God's.
achievement, yeah. It's God's, yeah.
Which, like, I'm not being funny. If I go to the gym 6 times a week and work out for 12 hours a week and I get ripped, that is not God's achievement. Fuck you.
That's mine.
I'm
my
tired.
I worked. Yeah, but you got to give you got to give your maker the credit, Jake.
It's like, no.
You got to give him the credit for that.
Not even slightly going to give him the credit for that bollocks. That's...
Well,
but I just find it curious anyway. Sorry, just not to cut you off.
No.
But like this whole thing of kind of like, you know, some people are like, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. Now,
I don't mind that quite as much. The people who are spiritual, at least it doesn't harm anyone. You know what I mean?
I don't like the spiritual people more.
Why?
Because
It's almost like they're not committed.
yeah.
They're not doubling down with an organised religion.
Have you noticed people that are really spiritual? They tend to be quite like airy and floaty.
Yeah.
They tend to be quite kind of like, oh yeah, man, everything's kind of like yeah, and like, you know, they tend to they're never on time. They never do what they say they're gonna do. It's like hey, everything's chill, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, like spiritual seems to be like a get out. It seems to be another thing of like religion becomes your personality, and so does being spiritual. I
would say
it.
they're less guilty of that than actual organised religion, because at least with spiritual, I feel like there's a spectrum to it where it's like you can take it or leave it. You know, it's not dictating your life. You know, you play with crystals once every so often. You don't have to drag yourself out of bed on a Sunday to go to church whether you really want to or not.
Yeah. Although I religiously play football on the Sunday. So is that my religion?
Probably, yeah, for a lot of guys, football is their religion, isn't it?
To be fair, actually, yeah, football probably is my religion. Which actually is all about cause and effect.
Yes. Something that you don't really acknowledge if you're religion.
Yeah.
If you're religious.
And sometimes can quite literally be the definition of the chaos theory.
Yeah.
I like football.
Well, I think we both subscribe to, or I would, that anything that is possible within the universe that can happen,
yes,
and will happen, that is free will, and it is yeah. I'm a subscriber to free will, which is not part of most organised religions.
It's not preordained.
Yes, because they have the preordained plan for you. So, but really, it's almost like there's a division in the camp of religion that either God endowed you with free will at birth, or everything is predetermined for you. But it's like, which is it?
Yeah, I was saying this to you earlier. What? Religion has inconsistent ideas and is fallible?
Oh, you'd never believe it, would you?
No. But also, the other thing actually that bugs me most about it, and you know what, this was not where I was going to go, but it's now happening,
Yeah.
and I don't care, it is so lazy being either religious or spiritual. And the reason for that, and I'm sure no one's listening at this point, but if you've got a problem, let's talk. But it's so lazy because it means that you don't have to figure out your own ideas and your own reasoning. You just accept someone else's.
Well, yeah.
Where's the fun in that? Where's the free will and the interest?
If you accept it as the viewpoint for the word, it is how the world is made. That is it. This is the definitive version.
Yeah.
Then it takes the onus off you to think critically, I think, for yourself. Because you're just like, well, says it here.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Which is just like bollocks.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
No.
It's crap.
There's no... I mean, the comeback will always be, well, you just have your faith in science. That's generally what I hear in these debate forums with atheists versus theists. It's like, well, your religion is basically just science. But it's like, well, if...
It's logic science.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Logical reasoning. I suppose it is a part of science.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily evidence-based, but it is logical reasoning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like mathematics is logical reasoning.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah, okay. No, I was trying to work out what mine was then, because I wouldn't say I'm wedded to science, but I'd say I'm wedded to logic.
Well, the point I was making with that is when you get these debate forums with atheists versus religious people, and they say, well, your religion is basically just science.
Yeah.
But the difference with that is at least whatever we're sort of deifying, holding up, putting on the pedestal, science. Yeah. The core of science is to find evidence, to reevaluate, to think for yourself, and to never take that evidence. Even then, to say, well, the evidence is only 99.9% conclusive.
Yeah.
There's scope for doubt here. There's scope for skepticism. Never to put for intents and purposes 100% faith into anything. You can say
probable doubt.
From evidence, it's beyond reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
That humans cannot fly. That's an example. Due to
hey, listen, I've noticed you can when you're depressed and a bottle of whiskey deep.
Yeah.
I mean,
due to the overwhelming evidence over the centuries that people, when they fall off a building, they go splat.
Yeah.
That is, for all intents and purposes.
Yes. And it doubles as making Sir Isaac Newton very happy.
It does.
Which,
he's just there throwing apples at them.
Yeah, I'm one of these, you best. Still don't believe in gravity, motherfucker.
Yeah. Just rubbing salt in the wound. Isaac, get the ambulance. Throws an apple on his head. How do you like it?
And you just see when it splats, just like, sit there.
You know what that was? That was gravity.
And gravity's a bitch.
Yeah.
Boom. But actually, you say about the beyond reasonable doubt. For that, I would describe myself as agnostic rather than atheist, by the way. Because I still think there are things
if technically we're going on beyond reasonable doubt, then no one can ever say for certain that there is a God. So if everyone actually acknowledged that and was truthful to themselves, they'd have to say by definition they were an agnostic.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but they won't.
I would fairly happily say I'm agnostic. I mean, I have no bones about saying about it, because there are some things that science can't. It's like if you follow the chaos theory far enough.
But like you were just talking about the wishy-washy spirituals.
Yes.
It's like agnostics are sort of in the same camp. I kind of feel like with agnostics, it's like, come on, you need to just double down, like believe in one or the other. It's like,
I think. I would say agnostic is not as. I mean, there's an irony there, and I'm going to very much clarify my position because I've been a dick. But when I say agnostic, it's basically more that I subscribe to a complete scientific theory of how the universe exists, right?
Yeah.
My problem with it is that human reasoning can only go so far because we have no concept of infinite, basically, and infinity.
Yeah.
So the point is that, I remember, I don't know if this is still the theory, but basically the universe was a nucleus that was expanding and contracting. And so the universe is getting constantly bigger still at the moment. And then one day it will hit a thing and it'll start contracting again. Basically, that's the theory.
But hit what?
I don't know. But also the better question is, how did it get there?
Yeah.
How did that nucleus... If that's what's happening, fucking sick. But how did that start? What started the reaction to make... Because something doesn't come from nothing. in our world. Everything has
Yeah.
a start and a
Yeah.
but it doesn't. So it goes to logical reasoning.
That we know.
Yeah, well, yeah, fine. But still, something has to start something. So what started that something? If nothing comes from... That's all I'm saying, is that if there was a higher being, that would then answer that question. Even if it was just like they flicked the first domino and
But,
fucked off.
but apparently, according to certain theoretical physicists,
Yes.
it's not actually correct to say that something can't come from nothing. Because that's a line that a lot of the religious people like to use. Well, it's like, well, who created the universe? You can't have something from nothing. But I've read bits of theoretical physics or dabbled in like debates and stuff, heard about the physicists talk about it. And there's one guy called Lawrence Krauss. You know, have you heard of antimatter? For example, when matter comes into contact with antimatter, they cancel each other out and you get nothing.
Where's Uncle Matter? Right.
You got antimatter and promatter.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, right. So
But
okay.
basically, you got antimatter and matter.
It's a chemical reaction, and they cancel each
Yeah,
other
and
out.
they cancel each other out. Yeah.
Right.
Which it's not. It's a physics reaction. I don't know. Maybe it is a chemical reaction, but
Still, yeah.
but,
it's
but this one physicist, Lawrence Krauss, was saying it could potentially be possible for the process to go into reverse, where you start with nothing and you reverse. It's like having a reversal of that chemical process where you separate it out into the two components of matter and antimatter again. So we might find that for our universe, which is matter, that is actually our universe is a combination of antimatter and real positive matter. That essentially it might have just been the chemical process of there was nothing and then the process went into reverse somehow.
My head hurts.
You know what I mean?
I do, but also then.
But can you imagine that? What a blow that would be to the organised religion if they actually discovered that to be true. That the universe being created is actually just a byproduct of another one of the laws of physics, that a chemical, like a process like antimatter and matter touching could go into reverse.
You're blowing my mind here. Yeah, I never...
It blew my mind, that.
Yeah, because that really is a theory of kind of going, yeah, you can get something from anything.
Yeah, that is literally, you can actually get something from nothing.
Yeah. Just kind of like, yeah, there is. No, seriously, you can get something from nothing. What do you mean you can get something from... You can get something from nothing.
Yeah.
That's insane. If that was ever proved to be true and wasn't just theory, that would explode my brain.
Yeah. Well, that's it for organised religion, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it would at least dispel any notion that they have over the Big Bang. Because they like to say, well, how did the Big Bang happen? It can't just come from nothing. Well, it's like, well, maybe actually we're kind of thinking now at the moment that the theoretical physics is pushing towards this kind of thing, which is like we don't know. We don't know. The process might be able to go into reverse like that and actually create everything.
It's so cool when you start thinking about it, though.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's basically like imagining black and dark, literally black. Nothing else there.
Yeah.
No light, no atoms, no nothing.
Yeah.
And then you're just in a state of, and there is nothing. There is no hot, there is no cold, there is no up, there is no down. And then in that state of nothingness, something starts.
Yeah.
That's mad, because that makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
If that could happen.
I think the reason
That'll
people
blow my
struggle with
mind.
that concept is they seem to think that time is like a line.
If you start saying wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff,
Well, the fact is that people tend to think time is a line because of like cause and effect, don't
linear,
they?
yeah.
Because they seem to think that cause is always directly cause always comes after. Cause always comes before effect.
Are you about to tell me that time is more like a Tarantino film where it starts somewhere else and goes back to the start?
Yeah, potentially. Because, well, for example, cause and effect is if I want this glass to smash, I have to throw it
Please don't.
to the floor.
Right.
But time isn't necessarily, according to theoretical physics, dependent on me. The glass breaking isn't necessarily dependent on me throwing it before the glass is smashed.
Have you seen Tenet yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Is it like that, basically?
It's dumber, But yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But the reason people then seem to struggle with the Big Bang thing, there's something coming from nothing,
Yeah.
is that they seem to think, well, in terms of cause and effect, nothing can't create something.
That is my.
But then if it's linear, if it's non-linear, then the something doesn't always have to follow the nothing. So it's like there could have been a something first, then a nothing, then because it's non-linear, the something was already there for the nothing to go back into a process of reverse to be something again.
I need to go have a lie down.
Yeah, it's hard to think about, isn't it?
This
really?
is nuts. This is so not where I thought this conversation was going to go. Fuck. Right. So something literally can come from nothing. In theory.
Is what they're theorizing.
But what if it can't? I mean, and believe me, I don't think this is a religious note. I think I think you have two sides of logic. And bear in mind, one of the sides of the logic is something created some stuff, which is how our universe works to the best of our knowledge. And the other side
in the planes
is
that we can understand, yes, because we have to move on the one line in terms of time.
Exactly. And then
we can only go one way. So for us, basically, time is linear. But
yes, but also then you've got it on the other side go, but what if stuff comes from nothing? You can understand why that's not an easy concept to kind of go, that is almost, you could argue, a belief.
Well, no, it's not, because they're backing their belief on research of hundreds of years.
But there's no proof.
All sort of, research of the past 150 years of modern mathematics and physics, starting with, like, Edwin Hubble and people like that, and Einstein.
Didn't he make a telescope?
The big thinkers of the universe.
Yeah.
They, these are the people thinking about these questions, and yeah, I don't know.
I'll shoot myself right now. Okay, that was
where I was
cool,
going
man.
with that,
I don't even know. I'm.
Is your brain whacked out?
Yeah, my brain has just collapsed like a black hole or a dwarf star.
We
or
should
whatever
try it.
it
Read
is.
Lawrence Krauss's book.
I don't think. I think I'd die. I think I'd fall asleep or like. I don't know what would happen.
I think it's quite light. I don't know if there's a lot of mathematics.
Oh, it
in
sounds light.
It's just explained for the layman, I think, which is good.
Okay.
How it should be. Yeah.
This layman needs a lie down. Tom, I'm going to end it there because I think my brain's taken about as much.
Or
as
are we going to end it there because time is not linear, and in fact now the process can go into reverse and we can start it all again and keep on going forever? Because time is not linear. Because time is not linear. Because time is not linear.
I'm going to go cut.
Welcome to Stuck in the Middle podcast, where time is not linear. Here today on the podcast,
stuck in the middle. We are stuck in the middle of time.
No, we're not really stuck anywhere. We're stuck at here. Welcome to Stuck at Infinite Points on a Spectrum of Non-Linear Time podcast.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Oh.